back in order.
All right.
Let's start at the top again, just to make sure. I didn't really give everybody a chance to ask any further questions, just in the interest of a very short time. Everybody have an agenda?
Yep.
All right, the first one, repeal the hotel motel bed tax funding to the Arts Council. Any other comments at this point?
Jeff, may I?
Go ahead.
You know, let me give you an example of some of the frustration. And I purposefully try to maintain decorum and to not get personal. Because ultimately, I don't know how anybody, after 12 years, I don't know how anybody can look and say that we've achieved success. There's sometimes things that really burn me. Some individuals who I had a lot of respect for made some sort, I would say, made an insinuation that I haven't tried to communicate with them, with the Arts Council Board, since I resigned, since Bob and I resigned on the advice of council. I would share with you this. First of all, the Arts Council Board did not much follow what we had to say, because prior to our resigning, we had voted, Bob and I both, and a couple others on the board, voted that Jill should not be retained as the executive director. She was retained. It didn't matter what the city had to say. I want to talk to you about the meeting that I referred to Brian's comments. The Arts Council. Let me back up. Becky McComb, our accounts payable, gets a call from Alpha Link, a local company, saying, you owe us 4 months worth of payments for phone service at the Davis Shade House. Why haven't you paid? We said, we don't know what in the world you're talking about. So, after looking around, we found a bunch of mail sitting in the Davis Shade House's mailbox. Now, Jill's been there 18 months. This wasn't 18 months worth of mail. This was about 6 to 9 months worth of mail. Nobody from the Heath Community Arts Council had come here to pick up mail that sometimes comes here for the Davis Shade House. So, we find these bills from Alpha Link. We open them up. Sure enough, it says here that they're providing phone service at the Davis Shade House. That can't be. We pay Windstream for that. So we do some looking into it. There's an agreement with Jill Ladrick's signature on it, saying they're going to buy hardware from Alpha Link, and Alpha Link's going to provide them phone service. Well, the city of Heath, per the lease, is responsible for paying the utilities there, not the Arts Council. It's the city of Heath's responsibility to enter into agreements like that, not the Arts Council. I sent Jill a letter on May 1st saying that the city's not going to pay that bill because the city did not enter into that agreement. The Arts Council did. And that the city would appreciate it if the Arts Council would set things back to the way that it was. Because here's why. We have an agreement with Time Warner to provide internet and phone service at all the buildings in the city of Heath. This agreement was entered into a few years ago, and the Arts Council at that time was happy with their phone service, happy with their hardware. They didn't want to change. I said, well, okay, rather than have you incur the expense of purchasing new hardware that'll be compatible with the Time Warner system, let's go ahead and stay with that, and we'll continue to pay Windstream. If the Arts Council was interested in new phone hardware, I would have loved for them to have mentioned it to Bob or to me, because we would have gladly worked with them, advised them on what kind of hardware would be compatible with Time Warner's system. We have available numbers with Time Warner that could have been used. It's our belief that we could have had them go to Time Warner and the city would not have had to pay Time Warner any more money to do it. I mentioned this during the meeting because obviously on May 9th, they had had a copy of this letter. They authorized Jill to enter into that agreement in October. This board has a former city councilman, a former city auditor, and a former mayor. Now, Carolyn did admit during that meeting, we probably should have known better. We probably should have known that the city needed to be involved in this because it's a city facility. And so I appreciated her acknowledging that. And I was never blaming Jill, but the fact remains is we don't have an agreement with AlphaLink. Are they is it less than what we were paying with Windstream? Perhaps. I don't know. I just received a response today to that letter.
Today, from Jill.
From May 1st?
From Jill.
From
Yes.
May 1st.
From the letter that yes. From my letter dated May
About
1st.
as timely as this thing.
Well, let me talk about this too.
That's awful convenient.
I want, they say that Bob and I don't communicate with them. This is the first time I've seen this.
It's not
This is
addressed to you.
dated May 14th. That's right.
Didn't even
It's
bother
not
to
addressed
address,
to me. I purposefully did not get personal because I don't believe this is all about Jill. And I've said that to them, and I said it to you. But this is an example of what happens when you see something differently than the current executive director of the Heath Community Arts Council. If you don't think I'm telling the truth, you ask all the people who used to volunteer at the Heath Community Arts Council, who at one point in time or another saw the world as black when she saw it as white, and basically were shown the door. Bob and I voted in our last Arts Council board meeting that she should not be the executive director. Boom! We're dead to her. When we found out about the AlphaLink bills, she had emailed me 2 weeks ahead of time, 2 weeks before that, they had some ideas for fundraising she wanted to share. This was a Tuesday I got this email. I'll copy the emails for you. This was a Tuesday that I got this email in April. I said, Jill, I'm looking at my calendar, same day, respond to the email. Jill, I'm looking at my calendar. Thursday's available. Let's sit down and talk about your ideas. Well, I want to have band ups there. So let me get with him and I'll get back to you with some possible dates. Okay, fine. About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I'm over at the Shea House for the retirees luncheon, which I will say, although, I enjoy that event every year, and there's always some great people that go there, that was the least attended retirees luncheon that I've been to in the 5 years that I've been there. I'm walking in the door, Jill's there. I said, Jill, by the way, you still haven't gotten back to me with dates and times where Dan's available. This was a Wednesday. Okay, yeah, I'll get those to you. I said, well, if you can get them to me by the end of the week, that'd be great, and we can look at having a meeting the next week. She don't get back to me. Then the AlphaLink bills come in. Now I've got something that I need to talk to her about, and I need to talk to her right away. So this is a Friday. And I call over there, and I said, Angel, answer the phone. I said, Angel, do you keep Jill's calendar? Do you keep her calendar of where she's at during the day, during the work day? Angel says, yes, I do. I said, great. I said, Angel, I got a problem. I need to meet with Jill right away. So what does Monday look like? Okay. What does Monday look like on her calendar? She's available in the afternoon. So, okay, great. I am too. 2 o'clock here at City Hall. I need to meet with her. Okay, fine. 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock. Great. Click. 2 minutes later, Angel calls me back. She said, Jill can't keep that meeting. Jill can't make that meeting. I said, what? She said, Jill can't make that meeting. She needs to get with Dan. She'll get back to you with times. I said, Jill, Dan Dupps does not need to be in the meeting that I need to talk to her about. I said, I need to talk to her. And I very, very rarely ever say this. I said to Angel, Angel, I'm the mayor. And I'm telling you, I need to talk to her because I got a problem here that needs solved.
Good for you.
And I said, I'm telling you, Angel, you tell me you keep her calendar, 2 o'clock's available. If she's not going to be here at 2 o'clock on Monday, I'll take that message loud and clear. Angel says to me, I promise you, somebody will call you back today. Then I felt bad because I could tell in Angel's voice that this isn't the first time that she's had to take heat from somebody for Jill. I said, Angel, I want to apologize to you. I said, I'm putting you in the middle here. I said, I feel bad about that. You shouldn't have to be in the middle. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she was gracious, you know, that's okay, it's fine, you know. But I felt bad because I could tell. I was putting Angel in the middle. She didn't want to be talking to me about this. 2.5 hours later, that Friday afternoon, Angel calls me and says, Jill's not going to be there Monday afternoon. I said, Angel, I thank you for the call. Click. There's no reason why Jill Ladrick couldn't pick up the phone and call me.
There's no way the place can be successful if she acts that way and operates that way. Sorry, Mayor. Keep talking.
She knows the phone number here. I know she does because she called Becky wondering about the bills too. I know she knows the phone number here. There's no reason why Jill Ladrick couldn't call me herself and explain. If there was a good reason why she couldn't attend, okay. I didn't get that reason from Angel, but I wouldn't have minded getting it from her. I did not. That's not the way that she operates. That's not the way that she has operated for 18 months. We all have seen it. We all know it. But this is, we're talking 12 years we've been into this. $1.26 million worth of bed tax money over the past 12 years. We need more information? Come on. If after 12 years, you either believe it is succeeding or you do not. My conclusion is that it's not. And I think I shared with you all why. One of the reasons why. I want to say this too, Doug. Just one other thing, Doug. I've thought about the maybe over a 2 or 3 year period of time with the bed tax. Cletus, I thought about that. I'm telling you, I've thought this thing, me talking to you about this tonight, I've thought this for the last 6 or 8 months, okay? And I thought about that. But when the Arts Council spent $66,000 more last year than what they brought in, let's say we gave them half the bed tax next year. They can't survive on $55,000 in bed tax money. They received, what was it, Keith, 118, 119? Or maybe it was 110 in 2013. And they spent $66,000 more than what they brought in. Their financial budget for 2014 projects an astronomical increase in donations that they have never, ever achieved. Except in the very beginning years when they had that, big push from many of the, corporate donors and such that Park outlined. That I don't think that those entities have much contributed, certainly not to that extent. If they can't succeed, if they haven't succeeded, if 12 years they haven't succeeded, if I no longer believe that they can succeed, I certainly don't believe that they can succeed next year on half the bed tax or 2/3 of the bed tax. So if they haven't succeeded, and if they can't succeed, why would we throw more money into the non-success? Was the conclusion that I came to in my mind when I thought about it. You guys know that I've thought about this a long time. You guys know that. I know for the Arts Council Board and the people that volunteer there, and they're fantastic people. I mean, they're fantastic people. I know it may be a new thought to them. You know it's not a new thought. You know it's not something that I would come to you guys lightly with. Now, this is going to be a journey from A to Z. Jeff and I, we talked about this rebranding idea. Jeff's the one that turned me on to that rebranding idea, and I'm on board with this idea now. I think we ought to give it a shot. I don't want that place to be a pile of bricks. I don't want that place to just be all cobweb filled and whatnot. But Jeff's idea, he got me onto this idea. And I'm willing to go that direction because I think maybe it's got a chance to succeed. What I don't think has a chance to succeed is the status quo. And I just base that on 12 years.
The one point that
Park
Shea had
Yeah.
to say that, hey, without the bed tax, that the place will be boarded up. It won't be boarded up because we still have to pay everything over there.
Yeah.
Keep it open. We have to pay the heat. We have to pay the water. We have to pay the bills. That place is not going to be boarded up.
I don't want it to be boarded up.
And it
I want it to
should
be used by more people. That's what I want.
I guess to me, I still want to be sure what the liability of the city is in pulling that bed tax. I want to know, the bed tax comes from the hotel and excise tax that was put in place by the county commissioners. What role do they play in the decision about how that money is used? What kinds of things are you thinking you want to use it for? Because I think that, I don't know any other cities that use it for things, just general fun kinds of things. I think it's used for tourism. And I think when we talk about, the Heath residents not using it, I don't think the vision was just for Heath residents. I think it was to bring other people from outside the community. And I'm not saying they've done everything we expect, but I have a little concern with the fact that, like you said, they didn't know this is the direction we're going. You entered into a 10-year plan with them.
I don't know where they got that.
I didn't. That's
the
the first I've
10-year
heard about
plan.
it.
Yeah, that wasn't accurate. What
Okay.
Ron said was not
Okay.
accurate.
'Cause I
What
think
we
so
entered
that the Arts
into
Council
was
too.
we had paid Jan's salary, right? She was a city employee.
Right, to reduce that.
When Jan was going to retire, the city told the Arts Council, we are not going to have a city employee that's going to have as much of a focus on that facility. But here's a 10-year phasing out of part of what would have been Jan's salary to help offset, that salary. This was not a 10-year. This was not a new 10-year agreement or a 10-year battle plan. It was simply an agreement to help reduce the financial blow of Jan no longer being a city employee and the Arts Council being responsible for that replacement. Folks, I know that this is going to be hard. I know that there are people around this table who have had more time, more effort, more energy invested in this project than others, including myself. But come on.
Are you against
we
tabling
talked
this?
Am I against tabling the legislative request?
Yeah.
Yes, because I believe that the legislation can be drafted. I believe the legislation can be brought before for a first reading at council's next meeting.
But what's our rush? Nothing's gonna happen for 7 months, so why don't we get all the information?
So are we
and do our
gonna,
due
so are we
diligence?
gonna have them, you know, Park talked about the potential impact of just me sharing with you this information as
There
to
will be an
future
impact,
booking
though.
dates.
I mean, would you book a wedding for next year if you thought?
Probably
that
not.
people
I'm not
knew
saying he's
you?
wrong.
He's not
Deb, I'm
wrong.
not saying he's wrong.
I
What
mean,
I'm
we're
saying is this.
nailing the
Does it
coffin.
help their situation if in November we pass an ordinance that says this? I don't think it does. I think it makes it harder for them. I think it makes it worse for them. I went out on their website. Now maybe they just haven't updated it, you know, that far in advance. I don't know. I went out on their website a couple of weeks ago. They have nothing in there for January of 15. And we know that January usually is a very slow month for them because they historically have had to wrap things up from the Victorian Christmas, and that's a big thing. And of course, they want to have some downtime. It's the holidays, and they put so much energy into the Victorian Christmas. So January is usually a slow, but there's nothing in February, nothing in March. Now again, they may have those plans in place, and they're just not on the website. I don't know. This was the first I had seen this stuff. You know, Cunningham Group Dinner Meeting, 30 guests. Dennison Retirees Tea, 29. Armstrong Seal Retirement Dinner, 80 guests. Jane Fourth Graduation Party. Dawes Arboretum Dinner. If we wanted to, and this is just an idea, and I welcome your ideas. This is just one. If we wanted to, we already take reservations for Heath facilities being rented out here. There's no reason why we can't maintain a calendar and take reservations for parts of the Davis Shea House being rented out also. We can make sure that we have a security deposit paid to ensure that the place isn't trashed. We can make sure that we get a copy of their driver's license when they rent the facility. We have people come to the window all the time to rent Heath facilities. The Cunningham Group could come here and rent the facility if they choose. Choose a caterer to utilize the kitchen area, either upstairs or downstairs, depending on which area that they wanted to rent, to provide a meal if they want to. You know, I've been to the Buckingham House before.
But there's somebody there when you're at the Buckingham houses.
I
They're
think
not
that-
gonna just turn it loose.
I think there's a volunteer there.
Whenever I've been there.
I think, I hope anyway, that one of the things that we've seen with various events over the past 6 months, including Saturday, is that a motivated group of volunteers can get a lot done. I mean, and that's why I was kind of surprised when Park said almost that they didn't want to look at this thing through a different prism. I mean, my goodness, then to not look at this through a different prism and try to redefine what we do and what the approach is and what the purpose is.
I didn't hear him say that.
He said that they would most surely fold. And I said, I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. And I don't.
Without
Well,
the
As they
city money.
currently
Without the city money.
operate, yes. What I'm saying is they don't have to operate as they currently do. The entity known as the Heath Community Arts Council, the 501c3 organization, does not have to fold, does not have to cease to exist.
but they can't make up $100,000 plus
No.
the executive director's salary overnight.
That's right.
That can't happen.
That's
That
exactly
can't
right.
happen by January. That's not realistic.
That's-
Anybody that's ever been involved.
That's
in
correct.
that.
There may not be somebody who's a salaried employee as an executive director. And just so y'all know, I'm not interested in Jan Wilkin or the Friendship Club taking over that place. Okay? I've said this, I mean this. I'm looking at 12 years. Jan will tell you that they were not achieving success.
Right.
Jan stepped away from that position because she did not feel that success could be achieved with her as the executive director. She will tell you that success wasn't being achieved. So why would we go back to the same model? I'm not interested in that unless you all would have some good ideas as to how that might work. I'm not interested in just having Jan back in place. Friendship Club. If anybody wants to volunteer there, that's fine. But I don't think we replace one model with another model that didn't succeed either.
I understand
I'd
the
like
definition of a
just
standard
one
there.
thing. I just like to one thing to. Dave.
I'm off my soapbox.
I just like, people are saying, well, I don't think the city entered into any agreement with the state of Ohio concerning the Davis Shea House, right? It was the Heath Community Arts Council.
Well, there's an agreement called an estoppel agreement that the city is a part of, but all the city did there was say that even though the lease says that if the Community Arts Council or the Arts Council, Community Arts Council breaches the lease, we'd be out. But we said we agreed in spite of that we'd have to notify the state of any breach and give them 30 days to cure the breach. And if it could not be cured in 30 days, which doesn't mean that the Community Arts Council couldn't do it, but if it was impossible to do it, whatever that might be, then they have to start curing it in 30 days and then be diligent until it's all done. So, but that was our only obligation under that agreement.
Yeah, and I haven't had time to really read what David provided. It's been in meetings, and I'd like to process that and digest it a little bit, but, and I can't envision in my mind what the lease with the Arts Council looks like, but I know it doesn't expire till like 2033.
Correct.
What's to stop them from, okay, we take the money away and it just becomes theirs, they can just do what they want with it and we can continue to pay their utilities and they can have their own family parties there.
They can already do what they want with it.
But
Other than to say that the lease outlines that the Arts Council will operate it as a cultural arts center. I mean, that's the stipulation.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the lease that ties us to the bed tax. There's nothing in the lease that ties the Arts Council to have X number of events of this variety and X number of events of that variety, and it's just not there.
But what I'm saying is if that's correct, if they chose to, we continue to pay the expenses, they continue to have the property, we wouldn't have utilization of the property for anything, so we'd be paying money for zero.
It's still a city facility. We can use that building. We can use that building. And again, this is what I'm saying. I don't necessarily agree that the Heath Community Arts Council as an entity would have to cease to exist.
Well, if two members of the finance committee, I'm hearing, would like to table this, why don't you table it and bring it up in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks?
I'm still
And we
tabling
give us a
it
chance
because I
to
don't
look
think
at
we have
this,
all the
ask some
information. I don't know how
questions,
Cletus feels.
There's
not that
I
much of a
don't see
rush.
the urgent need of having to get it up before council next meeting.
Well, Dick, I want to make sure you understand. What I'm talking about here is a legislative request. There is no ordinance drafted. Now, of course, the ordinance would be easy to draft. because
I
we're
just-
58,
I
2002.
understand that
And
my
I'm not
feeling
asking
is
that.
we need to wait. That's my opinion. I'm talking to the committee.
Dick, does an ordinance presented before council need to come through a committee?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm sorry, did I call you Dick David? I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
It was a compliment.
Dick Morrow, Dave Morrison, similar. I don't know the answer to that and have it for you tomorrow.
Okay.
You asked me during the meeting, I made a note here. But I'll
Okay.
look into that.
You keep in mind, if you want to table an ordinance, you can do so on first reading or second reading. Or
That question has been asked
I'm
of
for
Butch
tabling it
before.
now because I don't have all the information.
past,
Sure, we're not
I
blind
recollect
on
the
something.
answer is that any member of council can bring forth legislation through committee or without committee. And I think that came about some years ago when Tim in a committee attempted to prevent something from coming out of committee that he knew the majority of council was in support of. And you may be I don't remember the details of it, but
But it-
that's the answer that Butch gave us some years ago.
That's my impression, but I have to, I have to be right, so I don't want to look into it.
I think it was a median issue.
And David, can you find out about the bed tax? Because I'm concerned about if we even get the bed tax, if we're not using it for that
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, I looked into that and I wrote a memo back in February and I'll send it to you.
Okay, great.
The answer is because Licking County is getting a bed tax, we can put ours in the general fund. If we were in a county where there had been no bed tax, then we'd have to use it for travel and tourism. That's the short answer, but I've got.
I had always been under the impression, and I don't know where I heard this from, but I must have taken it as the truth.
Yeah.
I had always heard that at least 50% of the bed tax money had to be used for that.
That
There's nothing in state law that says that.
That was Butch's impression. That might have been, probably was the case
Yeah.
back when
Now-
in 2002. but
And
it's
that's
now.
not to say that. That's not to say I'm not saying that a portion of that money shouldn't be used for that. In fact, I would argue that if we were to apply portions of that bed tax money to the pool, that I know we draw a ton of people from, and all you gotta do is look at the membership lists and see where they're coming from. I mean, they're coming from other places other than Heath. Okay. If we were to take that, a portion of that, and apply it to the pool, it would have an impact on people coming here from outside of Heath more than what the Dave Shea House has. I know that they have an occasional bus tour. I know that that happens. I'm not saying that they never, ever, ever have somebody go there. But somebody tell me that they think that if this is the David Shea House, put a lot of rumps in hotel rooms. Could we do something
For
with
weddings, from people out of town on weddings, is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Bus tours, because I know that the last time there was a flare-up with the Davis Shea House, we had Susan from the Convention and Visitors Bureau that said that that was the biggest draw for the bus tours coming into the community.
Correct, but the buses don't stay the night here. Rarely. Rarely do the buses stay the night here.
Just passing through.
Yeah.
As an 8-year member of the
But shopping
CDB.
and that kind of stuff probably. So, but I guess, I want all the information before I'm.
Well, what more? Okay, so you want more of a clarification?
Yeah, he's gonna send me the thing about the bed tax, and
Okay.
we don't have, and I'm really concerned that if the money goes into the general fund, it'll never come out, because it'll get swallowed up, and I feel strongly that it's for tourism, and I think it's, like you said, I think at least a significant portion of it should be going towards promoting that, because that promotes economic development,
Sure.
that promotes all the things that we want to see our city grow.
Sure.
I don't think you just throw it into the general fund and
Yeah.
pay wages with it.
I mean, can you imagine? Like I said, I love that. I love thinking about what could be. I love it. What could Star Spangled be like if we threw $20,000 at it? What could the entertainment there be like? What could the fireworks there be like? What would the parade Saturday have been like? What thing that we haven't had, that we think of, that we put $70,000 to it? What could it be? I don't know. I'm excited by that. I think it's great.
Halloween event, the Christmas event that was right here, just enhancing that's what really sparked my
Yeah.
concept of saying, we gotta
Yeah.
redo this.
Yeah.
This community is starving for a community center.
Over 1,300 people came through here, came past Jenna's desk for that Halloween open house.
Yeah.
And I know that there were probably some people that went through twice, but I know there were people who didn't go through because the line was out the door. This was the same event that they've held at the Shea House each year for 4 years now. After I had talked to Jan when I came into office and said, this is what we need to do. In the 4 years combined, that event at the Shea House hasn't gotten 1,300 people. I've shared this all with you. My thought on that, I think part of it is the location. Why would people want to come to City Hall to walk through the hall and look at Halloween decorations?
Mystery to me.
I do not know, but they did.
And look at
700 and some people for
look,
the.
look at the demographics of what we went through here, those two events. It was kids, it was families. Look at your median age. That demographic rarely, if ever, is hitting the back end of Walmart. Okay, it's just
Right.
not. It's just not.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's a segment of the city that it appeals to, and I know it's benefited a lot of those volunteers. It's prolonged a lot of those people's lives. I know it has because it's gotten them involved. It's gotten them out of the bed, gotten them out off the couch, and it's probably added years to their life. I know it has. So there's a lot of benefit to it, but it's got to change substantially. A 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year long range planning. As many nonprofit boards as I've been on, the CDB, for example, long range planning is key. And this is not going to be turned around in 12 months. It's going to take 3 to 5 years to really turn things around to make that a destination, to make it top of mind for the average Joe in Heath, Ohio. I'm thinking about where do I want to have an event? Where do I want to host a reunion, a party, a celebration, anything, a meeting, community service, a Sertoma meeting, a Lions meeting, a church meeting, an off-site Boeing.
A school
meeting.
recognition, whatever.
Yeah. You want to have a retreat or whatever. This is not top of mind. Not
We can be talking until we're blue in the face about this subject. And,
So we'll continue to table this. Every council member, but we do need to make quick decisions on this. And not let this thing drag out all summer long. It's my opinion.
Part of my reasoning by wanting to have such due diligence is because when I came on board and I was being questioned about the Shea House, till I was blue in the face, told our citizens what I was told, that we can't do it because we'll have to pay those state grants back. We don't have that money. Didn't I, Becky?
Yes.
I said that over and
Yeah.
over because I was told that. And so now I want to see, and I want to see the proof of what I'm going to tell people, because I don't want to tell people the wrong thing again. I don't want to tell them something that hasn't been fleshed out and looked at every which way but Sunday, and I just want to know.
And you're entitled to that, and we
Yeah.
all are.
Yeah.
Okay? And it can happen in a few days. We can gather this information up.
Mhm.
Like you said, let's not drag this thing out until September, October, November. Let's get this thing nailed down in the next 30 days or so. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't want this thing to be drugged through the media all summer long. Okay? So, let's, are we finished? Any final? Can we move on to the next?
Yeah.
Because I do really want to wrap this up.
Please.
Okay?
The civil service
Can we-
rule changes, again, this is something that you would vote on a month from now. This is simply a legislative request. You have the information as far as what their suggestion of changes were. I don't like the pay idea
Was that
to the
from them?
commissioners. Yes, from the recommendations from the Civil Service
for
Commission
themselves.
on civil service rules changes. Yes,
They're recommending.
Keith asked them to review the rules.
Okay.
That's who did
Damn you, Heath.
I just,
And the red is
that's what I thought.
new, that's
what I
a
thought.
whole new,
and blue. And blue, I mean, you can see the strike throughs and where the language is.
but the red,
That-
this is whole new, this isn't replacing anything?
That is correct.
Red is all
So
new.
now, so they just
That would be
decided
new.
to add a page.
Correct. And the reason why they came to that conclusion was that Newark's Civil Service Commission members do get paid. Now, can't remember if I had you asked or who I had asked. It's a little bit, it's not like it's in the Newark City Charter. Nobody seemed to be able to find it in the city charter that they could. But they do get paid. So that was how they came up with that. I told you about the secretary. If you were to compensate her, does she get paid $300 a month now, Keith? Okay. If you were to pay her $500 a month, we already went through that.
So the other ones don't get paid now, and the secretary gets paid $300 a month.
Correct.
That's how often do they meet?
There's no regular set.
Yeah, there's no regular set
It
schedule.
all
When
depends
we're
on
when we're
what
filling
Yeah,
Okay.
when we're filling
somebody's gonna be
vacancies.
asking for civil services.
Okay, so 300 bucks is pretty good money for that then.
So we currently are paying 300 a month, is that?
Yeah,
They said.
yeah, for the secretary.
Now,
We don't
the,
pay
uh,
zoning board members, we don't pay planning commission.
Yeah, that's what- that was
You
my
know what?
argument.
You know, we don't pay.
And I told him, I told him, I said, I'll present this. I said, but I just want to let you know, here's my opinion.
Yeah, that's
And I
opening
told-
up a can of worms.
Now, the notice of examination, I like the idea of not being constrained to a newspaper of general circulation. The Advocate is expensive to advertise in and not as effective as other outlets would be.
And well-read.
Yeah.
You mean the part there in blue?
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
Also, if you look through here, the 60.2 certification process. Two things on this that are huge for us, very beneficial. Number one, right now we have a rule of 3. We can only look at 3 resumes at a time. This would increase it to 5. I asked them to do that. They agreed to make that recommendation. I would encourage you to pass that rule change. The other parts of this define that if there are ties, we would get all of the applications in ties. So let me give you an example. If we're dealing with a rule of 5, people take the civil service test. Let's say we got 2 people tied for first. Let's say we got 2 people tied for second. And let's say we got 2 people tied for third. That's a total of 6 people. We would get 6 applications then. Okay? That's my understanding of how they did it. If there are ties, we will get the increased number to include all the ties, which is only fair.
Yeah.
Because you tied on the
Right.
civil service test, you should get a shot at it, right? So, as I understand it, that's what it kind of talks about. The rule of 5, and then also that example of ties, we would get the extra applications in ties.
So
So,
definitely should move from 3 to 5. I think.
yes, I agree. The only, like I said, the compensation one, I told you my bid on that, you can make your decision.
So can we approve this in pieces and parts?
In pieces
Yeah.
and parts?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I
we
mean,
could-
David, all we would have to do is draft the ordinance that outline what rules are being accepted.
Right, just tell me what you want, and I'll, in the ordinance, and that's what we'll put in there.
So that's what we got a legislative request, so maybe we can try to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, committee, are we okay on that one?
Yeah. I am.
Okay.
Anybody
Next
else
one.
any comments?
Number 3. You all know that we have a management agreement in place with the operator of the fitness
Troy Ryan.
facility. Yeah, Troy. The fitness facility that the city used to operate. The city leases that space from the Port Authority. Our lease with the Port Authority expires, I believe it's at the end of 2015. Our lease with Troy expires well in advance of that. So Troy asked if we could have our management agreement extended to coincide with the same ending date as the lease with the Port Authority. So what I would like to have is a legislative request so I can work with David to draft an ordinance authorizing me to extend the management agreement date until the end of the lease date with the Port Authority that the city has. Because right now, what Troy said is, I can't really offer 12-month memberships if I don't know, if my agreement with you ends within the 12 months.
Right.
And I told him, I said, well, I can't extend your agreement out any farther than the lease's agreement with the Port Authority. So that was how we came up with that idea.
Is there,
Fine.
Go ahead.
is there an ending time, or is there a reason that we still are involved?
Yes, because we have that lease with the Port Authority.
Which ends,
I believe it ends December 31st, 2015.
And then it's up to Troy to try to continue. Or-
Well, I don't want to speak to that.
Okay.
I think I'd be speaking out of school.
No, that's right.
What
Okay.
I can speak to is is that the agreement between the Port Authority and the city would end.
Yeah.
It would
Okay.
be up to both entities
Right.
to agree to extend that lease.
Yeah.
That's all I can say on
Both
that.
entities.
The Port Authority and the city.
Troy.
Does it cost us anything?
Correct, because the city, the Port Authority's lease on that facility is with the city. We entered into a management agreement with Troy. That management agreement has nothing to do with the Port Authority.
It don't cost us anything, does it?
No.
This was something that the Port Authority insisted for the continuation of that privatization deal with Troy. I think we'd all like to get out of being the middleman.
Yes.
First of all, I think we need to extend it to the same amount of time that we're in the agreement with the Port Authority, but I wanna say that I think, remember when we talked about making the changes and all, I don't know, I had mixed feelings, but I wanna say Troy is doing an excellent job, because it still says that Heath Fitness and Rec Center over there. We've still got our name over there, and he's representing the city well.
Correct.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hope that in 2015, whenever that expires, we can help persuade the Port Authority to cut the same deal with him as they have with us to keep that place going, because it's a good place for this, it's a good place to have.
They probably would not be able to cut the same deal. The reason being this: if they have us on the lease for I want to say for tax purposes. I am not a tax attorney. I want to say for tax purposes, there's an advantage. It makes sense for the Port Authority to lease it to us for nothing. He is not the same entity. He is a private business. The Port Authority would not have that advantage if they leased it directly to him.
Well, I guess being that it's not costing us anything, I guess we can entertain down the road, as long as we can continue to make it a,
Yeah,
it's
and
not,
I,
it's not
and
costing
again,
anything, it's staying, so I like the fact that it's the Heath Community Fitness and Rec Center still. He's
I
doing
mean,
a great job.
I like I said, it would take both entities. It would take the Port Authority and the city to agree to that.
Okay.
And then, of course, we'd also then have to extend a management agreement with Troy, and of course, it would take both entities
Right.
to agree to that too.
And we got time to figure that out.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Makes total sense to match the
Okay.
dates, yes.
All right.
Any other comments? Okay, moving on.
So, David, are you leaving this week or next week?
I'm leaving Friday this week.
Okay.
And I'll be back.
Maybe what I'll
Monday the
do is
week
I'll
after
get with
next.
you and we can at least maybe outline something, and then after you get back, we can solidify it.
If you need somebody to take it down to Myrtle Beach, I'll do it.
There you go.
I'm not busy.
It's terrible.
Always wanted to do community service, aren't you, Jack?
They could be the
Got a big
courier.
heart.
Yeah.
The fourth item was already on the agenda that we covered tonight, so this will just
Yes.
moving money around.
Yes.
So, any other comments on the Newark Eagle thing?
Just real quick, let me tell you,
Yeah, very good job.
I
You did that too.
recently, because of drawings, joined the Eagles. And
I'm sorry, because of who?
joined the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
They had a big drawing.
Oh, okay.
And $20 for a year. Anyway, they absolutely love Huggins. They love the Heath Fire Department. And they love Heath. It is just,
I know.
I mean,
And
it
that's
is
the
a
Newark.
fan.
I was gonna say, can we make him the Heath Eagles?
I know.
No, because there is a Heath
Heath
Eagle.
Eagles is in Newark too.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Clear up to the north end.
Clear up in the north end.
Oh,
Yes.
On
Hollander
Hollander
Street.
Street.
really?
We're gonna do
Fiberglass
Heath Eagles,
field,
yeah.
fiberglass.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. All
It
right.
used to be in
Don't
that
try
little
to make
strip
sense
mall
of it,
off of
because it
26th
doesn't.
Street.
Yeah.
What's that one down on 13 down there by the creek?
Moose.
That's the Moose.
That's the
Yeah,
move.
that's the move, that's right.
Oh, I'm
I was
there
thinking that
too.
was Eagle.
Anyway, I just wanted to
No,
say.
they always donate for the fire department.
Yeah.
Isn't that what that $300 is
Yeah.
earmarked for?
Well, maybe they'd like to be the David Shea Eagles.
And because Huggins shows up in his uniform all dressed up to get the money and eat their food, they think that's the greatest thing in the world. So does he.
That's
All right,
good.
I'm
That's
sorry.
great.
Go ahead.
You know, it's we all know that Chief Huggins is not going to be the chief forever. You know, it's good to know information like that, because I think, you know, we should, whoever it is that replaces him, should be encouraged to try to continue to build those relationships.
Yeah,
That's,
right.
that's excellent.
Yeah.
And they, rather than calling me councilman down there, now they call me congressman.
Another one, what, I don't know how you put it, but I think Heath is too, the VFW, they give away a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, next item, I think we've already even passed, right? We waived the second
Yes,
reading on this
done.
one tonight, so it's done, so this is just a formality at this point.
I need to sign that, I think, don't I?
Sure. Send that one too. Six, close to special project funds and transfer residual dollars to the capital improvement fund. What is that?
Isn't that what we just did
We
tonight?
did that
We
tonight?
did that tonight, didn't we?
Is that
Yeah.
this?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. We did do that.
That's not on, wasn't on the agenda.
That's this
I
one.
guess not.
Did that come out of utilities?
Water capital improvements fund.
No, this is
Yeah,
the
that's
last
the
no,
one
this is-
Franklin Avenue's
Here,
next
this
one.
one. There are two funds, and you look at your fund sheet, there's been these small amounts of money left over from projects. Laying there. We're gonna close the funds and return the money to the capital improvement fund. It's residual leftover money from projects.
Let
You're
me
talking
ask you a
number
question.
6, right?
number six.
Number 6, yeah.
Yeah.
$1,516.50 and $8,158.12.
Okay.
So we got $9,700. Just moving it out in the accounts, checking it. Okay, any other
Yep.
comments?
The number 7 is, there was a fund laying there short, a project fund. It was short $1,690.48. So I'm asking for an appropriation of that sum to make that fund zero and terminate that fund as well.
That fund was in the red a little bit.
Yeah. No. That was,
This will just pay off.
that was a
pay off the
300
thing,
some
right?
$1,000 project.
Yeah.
That's hitting it pretty close.
Yep.
Yep.
Is that the one that we just did, getting the dual feed to the WCLT tank? Is it that recent? Or is it older than
That was
that?
part of it.
That was part of
part
it.
of
Okay,
it.
all right.
Yeah. Where it went
That was
across
the new water
underneath
line
the
down
bridge
Franklin.
and
Yeah, yep,
then
okay.
the water
So
line
this
up
is
on
like a little
Franklin
spring cleanup ordinance,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah,
Spring cleaning. Up for it.
yeah.
Why don't you autograph that and I'll throw it over there. And then you can hit the other items item.
I can talk about this other item, CMI and stuff. I think I'll just leave that on the agenda and we'll talk about that next time. It's nothing pressing, I'm not gonna do anything. If you read the last sentence, I'm evaluating some options and, I'll just leave that on the,
So we'll kind of revisit this next
time.
Yeah.
meeting, correct? So-
yeah. The other two items have been on, you'll notice I added some boldface
Yeah.
information there. I guess I'll warn you that I would not, having watched the collective bargaining process for, I think, eight cycles. It is not uncommon that, these contracts ended January 1. Here we are in May. I would be
No, April. Is
April.
when, April's when they,
with
late March, April.
some of the contracts go to January, don't
Pay
they?
changes
Pay
take first
changes,
January
not
1st, for AFSCME,
contract.
but the contract doesn't expire.
Oh, okay.
And then the fire and police are both in April.
Anyway, we've been through this before. In particular, if the process takes you to arbitration or fact finding. We're not gonna see this end until there's snow flying. So if your goal is to wait to address that item number one that's tabled, you may be waiting a long time. It's right past the deadline. So it's not gonna affect me.
It could.
Well, it could. I
Yeah.
guess it could.
Yeah.
It could in a
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the heat.
it's not gonna affect me in any full-time basis.
You're just a glutton for
When did that
punishment.
start?
So we're,
Yeah.
all right, anything else?
What time do you?
Tabled, we'll get 2 items tabled for next meeting, obviously.
I will,
The bed tax back on,
I'll put that in.
get this back on, keep these in the table items,
Yep,
okay?
I'll do that.
Can I, and truly, 5 minutes is all I want of your time, executive session. I haven't updated you guys on contract talks for a while, and I need to do it. 5 minutes,
Please.
I won't keep us here more than 5 minutes. If you guys have questions, I'll take them, but I wanna be out of here in 5 minutes.
Take more than 5 minutes, I'm going to the restroom.
What time did you reconvene?
All in favor, say aye.